Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Boxing Authorities. Joining me, as always, at the desk, Luther Dupree Jr., Smoking Jim Frazier, and my name is Claudio Relsano. What's going on, guys?
Oh, man, excited about today's show.
Jim, how you doing, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Well, we have a great show today, and a very special show. We have, you know what, in sports, they like to talk about Mount Rushmores, right? So everybody has maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that you can put on each sport, in hockey, baseball, basketball, football. But in female boxing, there's only one. One person on that Mount Rushmore, and there's others that eventually be on there, and that is the legendary, iconic CHRISTY Martin. And we have CHRISTY on the show today. CHRISTY, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me, and that's very, very sweet compliment. I certainly appreciate it.
Well, it's very, very true, and it's very well earned. And I told you this when we spoke privately. Every time that I've mentioned CHRISTY Martin to somebody, the first thing they say, not how good of a boxer she was, first, how nice of a person she is.
Right.
And you have so much respect. And my dad was crazy about you. And again, it's an honor to have you on the show.
I never heard that.
Yeah, you
Always
did.
everybody
Yeah,
gets
I didn't hear a lot of those good things. So.
Well, Jim doesn't talk. Jim doesn't talk to the.
A lot of people talking trash on me and wanting to knock me out in the ring. But
No,
here's
Jim-
the promoter. Hopefully, the fighters that are up and coming and that have fought on my show, they know that I treat them with the utmost respect and try to actually go a little overboard.
Well, you know what? Jim doesn't talk to the greatest of people, so we don't have to worry about that. But we're going to talk about your promotional company. We're going to talk about a lot of things. But first, for me, how did you get in your head, hey, I want to be a professional boxer? I mean, there was really nobody for you to look up to, I'm assuming, to model yourself after.
You're absolutely right. So there wasn't that person that I could look to and say, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. I don't know. It was a crazy thing that came into my head, and everybody in Southern West Virginia would go to this tough man contest, and where guys, coal miners, barroom brawlers,
Right.
teachers, whoever. I mean, they would just show up and fight. So I kept telling the promoter, hey, why don't you add a women's division? Why I thought this was a good idea, I have I don't know, no clue. And but finally they did add a women's division, and of course I was the first one there to sign up. Again, why I don't know, but I was a little better athlete than most of my competitors. I was playing college basketball and just in better condition. I mean, they were definitely probably tougher women than me, but I was a little bit better athlete.
But you can be the best athlete in the world, but when did you know, hey, I can take a punch? Because I mean, you can throw a punch, that's great, but when did you know I can really take this further?
Definitely that's one of those skills, I guess, that you develop as you go along, and as you spar, and I spar hard, that you kind of get used to getting hit, and as you get used to it, you seem to be able to absorb it and take it a little better. I mean, of course, there are guys and girls that have a glass chin, and you can't help that.
Right.
It's just God given. I think it's just God given, mentality, and then whether you can take a punch or not.
It's a good point about a glass jaw. We've seen heavyweights who are 6'4", 6'5", 230 pounds, 240, that don't have the greatest of jaws, but then you get a guy like a Ray Boom Boom Mancini who's 5'4", Vinny Paz who's 5'6", and you could club them with a hammer and they wouldn't feel it. So yeah, I guess you'll find out when you get in the ring. Luther?
Yeah, one question I had to ask. I mean, we've seen Charles Barkley and Shaq throw a punch. They were basketball players, and they don't look good.
Good point.
But you were able to, we know you got the basketball scholarship going to college. How were you able to get sparring? I mean, I know females in Pittsburgh now that have trouble getting sparring. Were you sparring a lot of men, or how did it work in West Virginia when you were coming?
Yeah, no, well, first and foremost, I left West Virginia early after I graduated from college, and I was in Bristol, Tennessee for just a little bit, but in a boxing gym where there were male fighters, and I've been fortunate. And once I moved to Florida, I had Jimmy Maloney that sparred with me almost throughout my entire career, and then we would just add different people here and there. But I sparred with guys most of the time. I felt like if I sparred hard on fight night, it would be easy.
How did you get the name, the coal miner's daughter? Was that the Don King? He the one who came up with that, or who came up with that name?
Actually, Jimmy Lennon Jr. And
Oh,
they were
okay.
trying to find a name for me, and they wanted to put all this crazy, the hammer, the this, the that. I'm like, no. I don't want anything I have to live up to. I want something it is what it is. And I am a coal miner's daughter. I'm not the coal miner's daughter. That's Loretta Lynn, but I'm a coal miner's daughter and proud of it. So yeah, that's how it happened. Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Okay.
Smoking Jim.
Hey, Christy, you know what? We all grew up, I believe, that I got the Sports Illustrated every week. And I'm not even sure if that magazine is still available anymore. But when I got the magazine in the mail and it had your picture on it, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. It was a great shot. How did it make you feel being on the cover of such an iconic magazine?
You know what? They're really not true words to describe it. But it's funny because now you say, oh yeah, I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and these kids are like, really? Like Sports Illustrated isn't the same as it used to be, and people don't buy magazines and turn pages. I'm old school. I like to touch the newspaper and turn the pages.
Right.
But to be on the cover, I've had people come up and ask me to sign it, and you get tired of seeing this. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's a huge honor to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. That's like, you made it once you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated, back in those days anyway.
Sure. Are you still the only woman that's in the combat sports that's ever got the cover of Sports Illustrated?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. But one thing they can't take from me, I'll always be the first.
Right. That's for sure. Now we know Dawn King was your promoter, and now you're doing promoting as well. Just what are some of your thoughts? What were your thoughts working with Dawn King? Because he put together some of the greatest fights. He was a salesman, a real promoter. Just talk about your experience with Dawn King.
Absolutely. I mean, being promoted by Dawn King at that time, it was, it was something that from a small town, 500 people in my little town in West Virginia, to now go and be promoted by Dawn King. He was known by everybody all over the world. And not just boxing fans, everybody knew him. It was really a magnificent thing that was unbelievable, but exciting. I mean, the first few press conferences for the first maybe couple years, you sit there and everything he says is funny, and he makes up shit that, whatever suits him that day. And so after a while, you get a little tired and you're just like, let this press conference be over. But it was an honor. It was always an honor. And I do think he was the best promoter of his time. I mean, the times have changed to now so much social media. But during that time, he's the best promoter because he liked to be with the people. He wanted people to be able to touch him. He wanted to touch people and like really be out there selling his product. And he believed in his fighters. He believed in his promotions. He believed in him. And that's part of what, as a promoter, I'm trying to take and just really get out there and get with the fans and bring new fans, new life to boxing.
Before we go on with a few more things, Dawn King, did he call you or did you contact his office for the promotional when he promoted you?
Way back in the day. Actually, Jesse Robinson, who was training heavyweight fighters for DK at the time, saw me training in a gym in Daytona Beach. And he told me then, he said, I'm going to take you to Dawn King. And, again, I'm from a small town. I'm like, yeah, sure you are. And, a little bit of time passed and I got to know Jesse more and more. And sure enough, one day he called me, he said, DK wants to see you. So we got in the car from, we were living in Orlando at the time and drove down to see Dawn King. And here I am, sitting across the table from the greatest promoter of all time.
Sure. Now, how hard was it to get fighters to fight you at the beginning? Because now, obviously, there's more female fighters in the sport. But back then, how hard was it to get good competition?
It was tough. It was tough to find opponents. It was tough, and then because I was out there trying to box on a regular basis. Of course, I had more experience than most of the other women. But we were pulling women from like kickboxing, martial arts. We had those for opponents. So it was tough. It wasn't easy. Of course, once we got with King and the purses started to go up, then men started training females, and I got that big target on my back, and so they wanted the paydays and they wanted my exposure.
Sure.
Right. Now you fought on some great undercards. You fought on an undercard of Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Felix Trinidad. What is that feeling like? Is there a different feeling when, you know, it's a Mike Tyson event and you're on that card? What is the crowd and the audience like?
Oh, absolutely, it's a different feeling. The electricity is crazy. I mean, when you're on a Tyson card, everybody in the city, we were fought in Las Vegas, all those fights, everybody out there is talking about the Tyson fight. Everybody. Just the excitement from the taxi cab ride to, you know, to actually get to the arena. Everybody's talking about Tyson, and the whole show. And then once my fight with Deirdre Gogarty happened, then we got a little bit into those conversations, which was pretty amazing that we were noticed on the undercard of a Tyson show.
Right. And now, speaking of Tyson, we saw he came back against Roy Jones, and Oscar De La Hoya's coming back. Is there a chance we may see you coming back, since that seems like the new thing?
I certainly wish, but I had a stroke. Before I came back at my last fight, I tried to, after a stroke, fight Mia.
Wow.
And, you know, when I lost that fight, I realized that the stroke had taken a bigger toll on me than I had really realized it did, and that I would never get back in the ring again. I am going to do a little charity thing for my nonprofit, Christy's Champs, in October, but it's just against a little, it's actually the secretary of one of the sponsors that kind of called me out. So I'm gonna get in there and move around with her some. But no, I can't get hit in the head anymore.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about your promotional company and your big event that's coming up August 28th, but we're going to take a quick break. We're right back with CHRISTY Martin. All right, we're right back with the boxing authorities, and we have very special guest, the iconic CHRISTY Martin. CHRISTY, now, when did you decide to go in the promotional business?
Well, really after the stroke, and when I knew I couldn't get back in the gym as a fighter or back in the ring as a fighter, I thought I tried to train some guys and realized that they don't want to work or be as committed as I was or as I expect them to be. So I thought promotion would be the best way to try to move forward with boxing. And you know, it's working. It's working not as fast as I had hoped. COVID hasn't helped anything.
Right.
Sure.
Right? It seems like as soon as we get a little promotional momentum, you know, COVID hit the first time, and now here we're having like resurgence and things are starting to get a little tight again. So, but we'll see. You know, I'm gonna stay in there. I'm a fighter, so we're gonna make it to that next level. I have 3 young up and coming guys that are a lot of fun to promote, a lot of fun for fans to watch. So, you know, hopefully one of them will take me to the title.
And we're going to talk about them. But you know, you just mentioned something that lit a bulb for me when you said that you were talking to fighters to train them. And I told you over the phone the other day that Donnie Lalonde, former world champion, and Jerry Cooney, another iconic boxer, have contacted different fighters, Wilder, and I think they contacted Fury as well, but really to no avail. Why do you think that is? I mean, I think that would be a great idea to have somebody like yourself, Cooney, Lalonde, to be in their corner to navigate. What do you think?
You know, it's just different because they don't want to work as hard as we worked in the day, back in the day, and it's just different. So I think they want people around them that are going to tell them yes.
Okay.
and that everything is great that they do, and I'm just, you know, you're not going to get that from me. You're not going to get that from Jerry Cooney for sure. Donnie Lalonde. You know, we're just old school.
Larry Holmes said the same thing. He said people just don't want to work, and they move on. But at least they should. I think they're crazy not hooking up with you guys because you can help them navigate not only in the ring, but out of the ring. And you can see a lot of fighters are having issues, but I think you guys would make a difference.
Yeah, I think that experience would definitely help.
Without question.
One question I always argue with these guys is about social media and boxing. How, you know, it seems like the younger fighters, some of them were using that to get ahead as far as promoting. How has social media, in your opinion, changed the art of promoting and the boxing sport in general?
Well, personally, I'm not a fan of social media, but I mean, that's where we are now. So we have to kind of adjust and adapt, right? But, you know, we have too many bag beaters, too many social media stars. No, and it's hard to take this fighter that's really a good fighter, that's maybe had 5 or 6 fights. He's going to have to fight for maybe a couple $1,000, and then he sees this guy that's never been in the boxing ring before go out and make millions.
Yeah.
How do you justify it? How do you tell this kid, no, keep working and doing what you're doing? You're going to make your money, but you don't know. I mean, there's a very small percentage of fighters that actually make it.
Right. And see, I say that to say, and I talk to these guys, I talk about Logan Paul and Jake Paul, how they have just catapulted themselves to the top.
That's two.
Jake Paul, well,
That's
hey, listen,
two.
Jake Paul has a contract with
That's
Showtime, and they use social media.
Kimbrel,
What are your thoughts about the Paul brothers, Christy?
Oh, I mean, more power to you. If you can hustle it and make that money, I mean, I can't hate on you. But
Right.
As far as boxing, like, first of all, I find it hard to believe that commissions can justify and approve bouts that happen.
Yeah.
And look, Showtime gave me the opportunity and put me out there to millions and millions of people around the
Right.
world. But come on, we have fighters that are busting their butts every day and working hard to get a contract with Showtime, get that exposure, and can't get it. So I mean, it's it's love and hate. And I know people tell me, yeah, but Christy, because of these guys, we're talking about boxing. Well, I get it, but are we talking about real boxing, and are we talking about boxing for the right reasons?
Everything that you just said, Paulie Malignaggi has been saying, and he's going to be fighting October 2nd against a guy named Corey B, who's I think
social media
guy, TikTok guy. So it'll be a nice chunk of change in Paulie's pocket, and I'm sure he's going to beat this guy. But you're right. I mean, those like a Jake Paul is making zillions of dollars, and there's a guy like you said who. Or a female who are really in the gym every day, want to be professional boxers. And I'm with you. You can't hate on the guy.
Hey, if he's bringing the fans,
Yeah,
Claudio.
he's bringing the fan. Yeah.
He
But
brings the
one
fan
thing real
base.
quick, Luther and I have been arguing, and Jim too. Jim, I think, is on my side. I think that years ago, like yourself and a lot of other champions back then, they would go on the late night shows and they would tell their story and people were attracted to them. And now it's just on social media, but they're on social media, but nobody still doesn't know who they are personally. Am I wrong in saying that? I think that the TV back then, even now, can still be more powerful than the social media.
Well, on social media, and I think probably 99.9% of the people do this. They put the positive stuff out there. They don't even make it like a real day. Everybody's day ends in positive 24/7.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
I mean, it would be great if it is, but you see somebody and that's all they post. And that's great because the truth is you want to look about positive things. I mean, I get tired of hearing the news when it's all negative.
Sure.
So, it's great to see positive, but everything isn't all roses. But then these guys with social media, they can make it look like they're training their butts off. They're really training for, 45 minutes maybe. They make themselves look like superstars, and they're just not in boxing. Right. I mean, they are superstars because of social media, but as a fighter, they're not all that. And,
Right.
They're not. I don't know. It's a hard sell, and it's a hard decision to make. Is it good for boxing or bad for boxing?
Right. I know we have some highlights we want to run of you as well right now. But just talk about when you first started. We know you're the first woman to get into the Nevada Hall of Fame. And now also in 2020, you got in the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
That's great.
Just talk about that whole experience. I mean, that's just amazing. I mean, that's history right there.
To be included in the Nevada Hall of Fame, come on, we know that all the legends have fought there, and to be part of that was awesome. To be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, I could say that justifies my career, and I'm very proud of it. And I think, people did take notice, and I'm just sad that I had to, share the first year with Lucia because I think she's a punk and she didn't really stand up and fight when she could have fought me and she didn't. So it sucks. That part of it, bad.
Well, I tell you what, we're watching some highlights of you, and Jim and I always talk about feet. I mean, you had great feet. You moved. I mean, you could hit, but you were also, like you said earlier, a good athlete. I mean, you look great there. I mean, and I miss these fights
Wow.
watching you.
I mean, you hit some of the females with punches, and they automatically on their feet, knocked out on their feet. That's just amazing. Now, real quick, what about female boxing today? The Clarissa Shields. We have, you know, what are your thoughts about? I mean, you started all off, and now it's going to another level. Still not where it should be, but just talk us about some of the female boxers. And are you promoting any at the current time?
Right now, we don't have any females on our roster, but I have had some really good female fights on my shows.
Okay.
It's hard. It's expensive, and so when you're a small promoter like I am, it's very expensive to do the women fights. If somebody falls out at the last minute, it's hard to find an opponent to replace them.
Right.
Same problems that I had back in the day, but let's see. I think that the Serrano sisters, Amanda Serrano and her sister Cindy, are really good. And Amanda Serrano I think she's getting ready to fight Katie Taylor. I think it's going to be a great fight for women's boxing. I'm a big fan of hers. I think that we just need more women coming up. I have a little girl that's 12 years old. Her name is Zoe Bustamante. She's in Vegas, and she just recently fought in my tournament in North Carolina, won the tournament against another very, very good little boxer at 12 years old. So the future is bright for women's boxing. It's going to take that personality from the fighter and the promoter, like, to kind of click and hook up together. And then, of course, get a network behind them to really bring somebody to the forefront again.
Now, tell us about your documentary that's on Netflix. Tell us about that. Great documentary, great story from you, and you're going to impact a lot of people for sure.
I really hope it does. I hope it gives people strength in all different ways, whether it's the domestic violence, to reach out and get some help, or sexuality, or to me, it's just the underdog. You know, I'm a coal miner's daughter that kind of made it and then lost it, and I'm going to make it again. So hopefully it helps people be a fighter. I'm excited about it. It dropped yesterday. I've had response from all over the world, which is amazing to me. Like messages coming to me from Australia, from Spain, Germany. It's been really, kind of overwhelming. Like, wow. When you see fighting on the Tyson shows, the world's watching. The Netflix thing is people have a choice. Really, do they want to watch This Is About You or not? So hopefully a lot of people will take notice of it and really be able to get some strength from my story and not have to go down that road as far as I did.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know who you are? Do you know how important you are? Not just in the ring, but out of the ring.
No.
Because you are. I mean, you said you kind of made it. I mean, you did, and you're not done yet. But I mean, you've impacted so many in the ring and out. I'll say that again. And you're going to impact more, and you're going to. I don't want to use the word revival, or even a comeback. I don't want to use that word either. But you're just going to that next level, and I can't wait to see how far this goes with you, because I know it's going to go far, and because people are going to love your story again. People who maybe didn't watch you in the ring, but they're going to relate to your story. But I mean, when you're alone, you say, you know what, I have done a hell of a lot, and I'm not done yet.
I appreciate that. It's just, you know what, even though as a fighter I was pretty arrogant ass sometimes, that's not the true me.
Of course not.
I'm not really like that.
You had to sell that image, though.
And it was fun. Actually, it was kind of fun to slip into that persona and talk shit and have fun. But I just hope through the documentary, I think that Netflix and Laura Brownson did a terrific job. But I just hope that we can touch lives. And I mean, I said from the hospital, I'm here that God left me here for a reason, and that's to help others. And I don't think at that particular moment I realized how many different groups of people that hopefully I can touch. But there's a lot of different groups, and hopefully everybody out there can tune in and check out the Netflix documentary and gain something. If it's just, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be boxing. It can be life.
Of course, yeah. And you're using boxing, as a metaphor, as an example, like Sylvester Stallone said. I couldn't just tell everybody, hey, don't give up. go after your dreams and leave. No, I had to use something. Boxing was a vehicle of expression, and I believe that's what you're doing. But we're going to take another quick break, and we come back. We're going to talk about mayhem at Myrtle Beach on August 28th with Christy Martin Promotions. So we're right back with Christy Martin. We are back with the boxing authorities and the legendary, iconic Christy Martin. Christy, the floor is yours. Tell us about August 28th, Mayhem in Myrtle Beach.
Mayhem in Myrtle Beach 3 is going to be exciting. August 28th, we're going to be live streamed by the WBC network, which is really new. They just started doing the live streams a couple months ago.
Right.
Aaron Freeman and PBE will be also live streaming. But it's a loaded card. Look, on the headline, now get this. Don King is putting his heavyweight fighter on my show. Alonzo Butler will be fighting Brandon Spencer. And Butler is looking to get in the WBA heavyweight title mix. And hopefully we'll get a shot at that title before the end of the year. But with that, we have Victorino Gonzalez, who actually lives in Myrtle Beach. He'll be the co-feature. Exciting fighter. He's a boxer puncher, but brings a lot of excitement, entertainment. Puerto Rican. So we have Puerto Rico versus Venezuela in that fight.
Wow.
Then we have my kid Benny Tony Aguilar coming up from Florida. He'll be fighting. He's undefeated 5-0. He's going to be going against Brandon Edrago, who is also undefeated 3-0. I mean, my guys fight. I don't give them laydowns. I have my kid from West Virginia, Anthony Sevilla. He's going to be fighting. He's fighting a kid that's 0-1, but the one loss was to a kid that's now 4-0. So he's in tough as well. But these guys are all young. They're exciting. They're bringing a lot of energy to boxing, and I think we're doing good things in Myrtle Beach.
Okay. As far as promoting, what's one thing that surprised you since you're headlining? You started promoting. What's one thing that you didn't know about that you learned? Maybe someone who's thinking about starting a promotional company would need to know something you didn't know before you started.
Well, I mean, I kind of knew this. I did know this before I started, but the hardest thing about it is everybody in the venue, everybody that's involved with the fight, they're getting paid. Right. Except me. And I'm the one that, at the end of the night, I'm the one that I don't get a check always. So it's hard. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to deal with the personalities. Usually, and this is true, no matter if you're at my level or at the big pay-per-view level, it's usually not the fighter that has the attitude. It's the people around them.
Right.
And so I deal with that. And I do most all of it on my own. I kind of touch every part of it, whether it be the media part, I do the hotels, the insurance. There's a lot of moving parts to the boxing promotion.
A few years ago, I was a part of a group that promoted an MMA event. And I'll put it to you this way. I lost money, obviously, and I think I got the hell knocked out of me more than the people in the ring. But so let me ask you this. Is it tougher, you think, in the ring or out of the ring?
Oh, out of the ring. I would so much rather be in the ring. Oh, my goodness. I loved it. I loved my job. It was fun to me. As crazy it may sound, I loved it. I loved getting in there and exchanging punches with people. I don't know. Mental flaw, maybe.
Well, your main event, Alonzo Butler, we're familiar with him here in Pittsburgh because he fought a guy, Freddie Latham, who's from Pittsburgh, and it was a good fight.
Right.
But so your card is it seems like you have a lot of nice young up and coming fighters. Now, something again you and I spoke about off the air, and you said it a few times that you wanted to impact these fighters. You wanted to make sure that you were good to them and took care of them, and that's not always the case with promoters. And that struck me, that you really want to have impact. Again, that word impact on these fighters.
Well, I want them to each feel special. A lot of times, you're right. They'll say I'll talk to the fighter directly and they're like, oh, wow, you're the promoter and you're talking to me. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I think it's important that, if you have a problem, you can call me. I do follow the chain of command. I always go through the manager or the trainer or something before I talk to the fighter. But you know, you have to let them feel like they can touch you and that you care about them. Whether like if they're coming in as the opponent or the A side, and I hate that A side B side crap because when the bell rings, we're all out here to win.
Right,
Uh,
right.
But yeah, I want them to know that look, if you have a problem, it doesn't have to be with boxing. If you have a
Right.
problem, I'm here. I'm here.
And I think that's what's going to set you apart. And I think, again, with your career, your name, your personality, who you are, I think that people are going to be attracted to you, not only fighters, but also the financial people. And I'm really excited for this promotional company for you. I know it's going to go great for you. And Luther, you had some more questions?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to know, we just finished watching the USA Olympic team, got a couple silver medals, still trying to get another gold. Or do any of your fighters have any of that Olympic experience, and how important do you think it is for the guys to get that at this point?
I think it's important to have a really solid amateur background. I can't imagine that there's a bigger thrill than to go fight for your country.
Right.
So I think that, and it also shows that they're dedicated,
Right.
because being a boxer at that Olympic level is not easy. It's not like I do this part time. You commit to that.
Right.
So I think that gets you ready for the pros. But I don't think there's anybody on the show that has that Olympic level experience.
Okay. Now, so did you watch that, or is there anybody? Because I think there was a female boxer. I forget her name on there. Did you get a chance to see her?
I did not get a chance to see her, but I do know that there was a female boxer from Fayetteville, North Carolina, that's in the Army or Marines.
Right.
One that's actually stationed, so Army probably in Fayetteville, and we just did our amateur tournament down there.
Okay.
So I'm excited that maybe she comes back, and who knows, maybe she shows up in Myrtle Beach.
That'll be nice.
To see the show. Yeah.
Now, where can people, again, watch the pay-per-view, watch your event?
It's through the WBC live stream.
Okay.
So they can get on. I think they're charging like $9.99 or $11.99 actually, $11.99. It's gonna be a good show. It's young, up and coming guys, but everybody's well matched. We have a female fight on the show. Adia Biggs is gonna be on. She has a lot of support around her. So it's gonna be well worth the $11.99. And as Don King says, if you can't be on the scene, be on the screen. So get that pay-per-view vibe.
And finally, Christy, you've overcome a lot in life, and obviously the past couple of years, everybody's had to we always have to overcome things. And with the pandemic and job loss and everything else, what do you tell people? If I say, Christy, tell our audience how to overcome obstacles in life.
Keep punching.
Keep punching.
Keep at it. Don't take no for an answer. If I took no for an answer, I hear no like 50 times a day.
Still?
You just have to keep on keeping on. And if it's your dream, don't let anybody rain on your parade. Basically, if this is what you want to do, go do it. Don't listen to any negative BS that somebody's going to try to put you down or slow you down. Get out there and get it.
Now, you said that you receive 50 no's a day. Still, even after your great career, you still have people saying no to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
I'm a small promoter at this level, so it's hard. It's working. It's just like being a 4-round fighter. You have to keep working, get to be that 6-round fighter, get to be that 8-round fighter, and your career grows. It's the same. I would like to think that I'm up to maybe a 6-round, 8-round promoter, but like I said, the COVID didn't help anything.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like we had a lot of momentum leading into the first outbreak of COVID, and now we're gaining momentum and seem to be hitting it again. So we'll see. I'm going to keep on keeping on, though.
There
Not
you
going to
go.
take no for an answer.
Hey, Christy, this is Smoking Jim. All three of us do a lot in the city of Pittsburgh for disadvantaged kids. We hand out toys at Christmas. We give away turkeys at Thanksgiving. We take them to Pirate games, Steeler games, horseback riding. Tell us a little bit about the CHRISTY for Champions. And what you do.
So Christy's Champs is my nonprofit, and we have done different places around the country. We team up with boxing gyms, and we'll put computers in boxing gyms. We have the gym agree to allow kids that are living in the domestic violence shelter to come into the gym a couple days a week for free. To use these, not just those kids, but all the kids can use the computers. We have mentors in the gyms, tutors. Usually I try to connect with some teachers that are retired that will come in and help the kids. And especially now with this crazy pandemic and so many kids are homeschooled, they're falling behind. So we get the teachers to try to get in there and help those kids get caught up. It's all about the kids, breaking the cycle. As people want to talk about breaking the cycle, well, you have to break it with the kids.
Well, Christy, you know what? We really appreciate your time. It was an honor and a thrill for all of us, to be sure. And I know you're going to be on my podcast soon, next Monday, I believe, and I can't wait to have you on. But if there's anything we can do for you or your company here in Pittsburgh or anywhere, we're certainly here. You have my contact information. I'm sure we'll be in touch. And like I said, you're a great person, great career, but even a greater person. And we really appreciate your time. And definitely, everybody watching, get that pay-per-view on August 28th because it's going to be and it's going to be an exciting card for sure. Christy, thank you so much. Any final words?
Thank you. It is going to be a great card, but yeah, for sure. Let's hook up. You're too close to West Virginia for me not to be hooking up with you guys and doing some work with Christy's Champs and whatever organization you guys are working with to give out toys for the kids. We have Christmas coming up, clearly, Thanksgiving, anytime, anything we can do on our end as well.
Thank you. You're the best. We appreciate you. Good luck. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, that was great. That was,
man, she's special. She's a great person.
She is. Sometimes you're interviewing somebody. You said, man, am I really talking to Christy Martin?
Oh,
because we
legend.
watched her. Yeah, she's a legend, and I wasn't kidding. Again, with the Mount Rushmore, I mean, you can say this, that, but really, she's it.
She's
she
the one.
started.
She's at
Yeah.
the top.
For Christmas, maybe Christy can help us get some black Barbie dolls. I have a hard time finding them. Can you find them, Lou? I've been searching high and low.
Well, if anybody can find it, I'm sure she can.
Oh, right.
But you know what? Think about that. How hard it was for her in the beginning. Now, it's more accepted. There's much more opponents. So it wasn't easy climbing that ladder.
Yeah, and the fact that she hooked up with Dawn King was a big feather in her cap.
She hooked up with Layla Ali, too. You didn't bring that up.
Oh, well, I didn't bring that one up.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you know what?
40, we didn't bring up her record. 49 wins.
Yeah, it's my fault. Yeah,
49 big wins.
And the thing is, what you said about Dawn King, you got to understand, Dawn King is still a name, especially for us. But for you younger people out there, Dawn King was the guy.
Yes.
So if he wanted you, if Dawn King was interested, because he could have easily said, like Jesse Ferguson said, or not Jesse Ferguson, yeah, I think whoever she said connected the two, they said, well, you know what, I'm just not interested.
Mm-hmm.
But he saw her work. He said, yeah, I am interested. He knew that there was a career
Put
path
her on
for
the
her.
Mike Tyson fight card, man. That was
Mike
amazing.
Tyson.
That's
Evander
big
Card,
knockout artist.
That's
Felix
a great
Trinidad,
question.
Man, that's huge.
When you're on the Tyson card, I mean, you can't get any bigger than that.
No, you can't.
And again, she's as big as it gets, and I encourage everybody
She
to
made me
definitely.
want to get a job in the coal mine.
I don't know about that now, but it was definitely great to have Christy Martin on the show, and it was a great interview. So when we come back, we're going to talk about our mailbag, our most popular segment, mailbag. We'll be right back with the boxing authorities. Okay, I got the glasses on. You know what that means, mailbag. And the address for the mailbag will be up here in a second. But this one's for me, James from Johnstown. What is the system for rankings? How does one move up or down? Well, I was fortunate enough a few years ago to be a guy who did the rankings for the American Boxing Federation. Mm-hmm. What I did, I don't know what anybody else does, because sometimes, I know, Luther, you've commented on some guys who were highly ranked. Said, man, what's he ranked so highly for? For me, it was your record, who you fought, what you did maybe in the past 3 to 5 fights. I didn't really have a point system, to be honest with you, which a lot of people do. They'll say, okay, 3 points for this or 2 points for that. I want, like, if you fought a guy who was 6-12 and you beat him in 8 rounds, to me that wasn't too good. But if you fought a guy who had a nice record, who he himself fought some good opponents, that's going to elevate you. So it was who you went up against, how you did against that person, okay, how consistent you've been. And it does take some time, especially when it was one guy doing that. I've been a little critical of some of the rankings over the years. But I wanted to make damn sure that my rankings, when somebody saw a guy who was number 9, who he wasn't 3, 8, and 4, and I wasn't going to do that. He had to have been good. So my parameters, my expectations were a little bit higher. So that's how I did it. Again, I think other people have a point system. So
Come on, Claudia. A lot of it is who your promoter is and how much money.
Nobody gave me any money.
These guys.
Nobody
Not
gave
you.
me any money.
You were fair, but come on,
Right.
some of these guys.
No, I know.
Bob Arum can get anybody ranked on a WBA.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, Eddie Hurd can get anybody ranked on certain levels,
Right.
and Al Heyman as well.
I like money.
Yeah, yeah.
Jim can be bought.
Jim will be bought.
All right, this is for all three. Johnny from Pittsburgh. Do you think Pittsburgh, great question, do you think Pittsburgh will ever get another major fight? Holmes Snipes was here, Spatafora Doran, Walcott Charles at Forbes Field, which is a historic fight. And if it does, could Heinz Field or PNC Park fill it? Luther, start with you.
I'd like to say yes, but I'm going to be honest, no. Not in my lifetime,
You don't
and,
think so?
and definitely not in you guys' lifetime.
Oh, here we go. That's nice to say.
No, we're not going to get a big one anytime soon. It'll be a couple mid-majors, but no, none of the big fights are coming here. They're all going to Vegas. They're all going to the bigger venues, and unfortunately, Pittsburgh is not. Unless we get one of these young guys to really
From
put Pittsburgh
Okay.
on the map. Other than that, no.
Smoking?
Wow, I was surprised that I didn't think Luther was going to flip-flop until the end. He did flip-flop. But
I
listen,
said no from the beginning.
Pittsburgh is a city of champions, Steel City. We're going to fill PNC Park. We're going to fill Heinz Field. There's some up-and-coming fighters. They like to get down. If you want to throw down, you're going to throw down in the steel town, like Luther used to say. We're going to have some big-time fighters coming up in the next 4 or 5 years.
You've been saying that for 20 years, Jim. Come on, man. You got to change that up, brother. That's.
Well, let me ask you this, Luther, since you think no.
It's
If
not.
there's a money guy here, and we have the venues, we have Heinz Field, who seats, how many is Heinz Field?
We've
seat?
had the venues for years.
Right, through River
We
Stadium.
have not built up those fighters. We got Pittsburgh
Okay,
good,
but
we haven't
that's a
been
great
national
line.
good.
Tell them what Pittsburgh
Michael
good
Moore
is.
fought at the Civic Arena.
Yeah, but how long ago was that,
I'm
Jim?
just saying, we're just
Can we come in the 2000s, Jim? Come on, we're going in the
Oh,
90s.
but let's
this
just
is
say-
21 years in.
Let's say two heavyweights. Let's say Pittsburgh outbids. Man, there's a lot of things to do here in Pittsburgh. There's a cultural center,
Listen,
great restaurants.
I love the Steel City, but no. It's
Okay,
not
maybe
gonna
not a
happen.
Joshua
No
Fury.
big time fight. No NBA basketball
Crawford
team.
fought
It's
in
not
Oklahoma.
happening.
All his
It's not
fights in
happening.
Oklahoma.
Because in Nebraska, first of
The
all.
same thing.
Terrence Crawford, Nebraska.
You tell the
Because he's
difference?
from there.
You tell the
No,
difference?
you can't. No, you can't. Cornhuskers. But listen, that's Terrence Crawford, and he's from there.
We got fighters from. That's what we're talking about. We got fighters
We're
from
Pittsburgh
here.
good. We're not that level good. Terrence Crawford
In
is a
4 or 5
pound for pound
years,
heavyweight.
you don't see a guy in 4 or 5 years from
Who?
here.
Put them out there, Jim. We don't have them yet. Maybe they're 4 and 5 years old now. But like I said, not in your lifetime and not in my lifetime. It's not going to
Do you
happen.
think any of the big names will come here? Let's say super
No.
middleweights.
No.
Keontae
No.
Irving.
Keontae
Yeah,
Irving
he's got
has
a
a
shot.
chance, but he's not there yet. They're moving him slow, the way you guys like it. I'd like to move him
Sell
a
out
little
the Beaver
faster.
Valley Mall.
This one's for Jim. You all right? Ricky from Arizona. You talk a lot about Jerry Corey. What impressed you so much about him, and would he hold a major belt today?
Man, Jerry Corey, not only was he tough, he had the Irish people who loved boxing behind him. This is a guy that, don't forget, his younger brother was light heavyweight champ of the world, I believe, or very, very close. I think Bob Foster held the title. He fought him. But Jerry Corey, you knew what you were getting. He didn't take a backward step. He could throw every combination in the book. He could go to the body. If he wasn't a bleeder,
Right.
and if he didn't fight in the greatest era, one of the greatest era of heavyweight boxing since this era now, I think Jerry Corey would have been champ.
All right. I agree with you. He was a tough guy. He could hit, and he could take a punch. But again, he would cut
And I've
easy.
seen him take a dive or two.
Oh, here you go. After all that.
Jim can be boss. He thinks everybody can be
some
boss.
slander would come.
Wait a minute. Jim admitted he can be boss, so he thinks everybody can be boss, which isn't necessarily true. And again, I guess it depends how much you're offering. But I think you're right. I think Jerry Corey was one of those guys we talked about before who can definitely win a belt today. He was tough.
sure.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed our show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. We'd love having Christy Martin on, and we'll definitely have more guests on as we go along. But thank you so much for tuning in to the Boxing Authorities.